I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Welcome to today's episode of Donut Fitness. What we're going to do is start to get into some more informative type videos. So each week we'll have the fun food challenge videos, the workout video, as well as at least one or two more informative type of videos. So today we're going to be talking about beginner workout routines. Just a quick disclaimer before we start, I'm not claiming to be the be-all end-all expert. I'm also not reinventing the wheel here. I'll have some in the description, some links to some people that I follow, that I like, some people's training philosophies that I'm into. So certainly this isn't anything entirely groundbreaking. What this really is what I feel is the best way for a beginner to train, looking back at how I trained back from high school, all the programs I've used through, dang near close to 20 years now, and what I think works the best to get someone from point A to point B. This program, it's really for anybody that, they want the quickest way to gain muscle, lose fat, to get the, results as quickly as possible. It is certainly appropriate and good for males or females. There are some differences, and generally a little bit with some programming we'll talk about in another video. But for all intents and purposes, it is for men and women. And again, what I believe is the fastest and quickest way to get from point A to point B. Essentially, it is a full body, high frequency type routine, which I think is appropriate not only for people brand new, but quite a few people that probably think they're more in the intermediate area that truly are more like beginners. So I would say anyone who is brand new, or the people that are just flailing around in gyms doing 20 sets of leg extensions and curls and just kind of, like I said, kind of flailing with no direction. I found people really succeed in a program like this and make pretty tremendous gains. So we'll jump right into it now. There's going to be a lot to unpack here that we'll do in future videos, getting into more detail on weight and intensity and things like that. This is going to be a basic outline of my routine. Certainly, if anyone's interested in one-on-one type of coaching, reach out to me. Happy to help and really kind of enjoy this stuff. So, what I like to do, whether you've never worked out before or, like I said, you have been just with no direction, you're just kind of all over the place. A lot of times, those are the guys who've just been doing curls every day and just bench press randomly. Or the women who are just doing cardio and some leg extensions. That's typically what you see. In either situation, or guys that have been doing some random bodybuilding split where they do chest on Monday, shoulders on Tuesday, back on Wednesday, arms on Thursday, legs on Friday, and who knows some other body part they come with on Saturday. That is one of the most inefficient type of routines that exist. I'm going to do a whole separate video on why those bodybuilding, one body part per day routines are just completely inefficient. Just without getting too into that part of it, we know muscle protein synthesis is going to be increased for 24, maybe up to 48 hours post-workout. At that point, you want to hit the muscle again. You don't want to crush the muscle with 20 sets and then not hit it again for a week. So we'll get into more of that later. Let's get into more of this program. So what I do is I kind of break it up into, I start with the first 4 weeks here. This could be up to 6 weeks depending on if they're brand new or not. But essentially, I look at the first weeks 1 through 4 and I start off on 3 exercises: the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. Very similar to the Ripto program, other kind of beginner workouts. You have three times a week. You do these 3 main exercises. And there is a point to this and why that's all we're doing in the first 4 weeks, which is over here. notice that some of this is psychological as much as it is physical. One, it's not complicated. Someone new, you don't want to overwhelm them with all kinds of intricate programming and periodization and 10 new exercises to learn. You keep it very simple and focused. It builds the foundation of where we're going next. It sort of gets them in the right mindset, teaching them to train versus work out. We don't work out, we train. So it's teaching that. Maybe the most important one, this is where you start forming habits. You go to the gym 3 times a week, you do 3 exercises, and you start to build that habit. It's very doable. Most people can find the time to do this. One of the biggest mistakes I see is you jump into a full body routine with 10, 15 different exercises, or doing some crazy body part split where you have to go to the gym 6 times a week, and people quit in the first month. Things come up, life happens, work gets busy, family stuff, you miss the gym one day, and then you pack it in and you're done. So this starts building those habits, which is one of the most important ways to determine who's going to be successful, the people that build those habits. You also start to build proficiency with the squat, deadlift, and bench press. You work on technique, proficiency. People are going to be at different phases here. Some people that have somewhat of a background might learn these quickly. If these are people that have literally never touched a weight, I might actually extend this to 6 weeks, potentially even 8. That's more individual. Helps build confidence. They feel good about the exercises. They focus on a small amount. And then in general, just some of the basic principles is, in this first kind of phase 1, which is usually 4 weeks, I never have them go to failure. In fact, most of the training, it's probably between 50-60% of their max, finishing at least 2 to 3 reps before concentric muscle failure. Really don't want to go beyond that point. So what we do is, on a standard kind of 4-week setup, you do want to have 24 hours in between each workout. So very typical is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you get the point. And the way I measure and do my programming isn't so much about what percentage of your 1 rep max you're hitting today or beating your logbook. It's about monitoring true work volume. So not counting some warm-ups, the actual work volume. So here's an example. Week 1, squat, deadlift, and bench press. We're going to do 1 work set of each. So maybe you're doing 2, 3, 4 kind of warm-up sets. That's when you're kind of learning your technique, getting into the groove a little bit. And then on that week 1, on your 3 workouts, let's say you go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, each time you're going to do 1 work set of each exercise. That's it. Now, like I said, you have warm-ups. That's where you're kind of really working on your form. You might be in the 30 to 50% of your 1 rep max warming up. Week 2, you're going to go to 2 work sets. So same principle, but you're going to go up. Same thing week 3, week 4. So on week 4, as you can see, the volume goes from week 1, your total volume is 9 work sets. Week 4, your total volume, doing the math quickly in my head, would be 36 sets. But while we call these work sets, these are not failure training sets. We will not touch failure in this phase. Really not even close to it. Should be hard, should be intense, but we are a couple reps, like I said, shy of failure. Ending that last week with the highest volume week. Now, what I do next is, a beginner doesn't need the deload often. They're just learning, they're just getting into it. I jump right into the next phase of training, and that's when it's still full body, it's still 3 times a week, but we're adding in more exercises. So one thing I find with a lot of the beginner programs are they're either like this, where it's only a few exercises and that's how it is for months and months and months, or if you look at some of the popular websites or whatever, they'll have full body routines that are 20 exercises long. And the new trainer is just overwhelmed with the amount of exercises. So that's why what I like to do is build the habit, build the confidence, build the proficiency in these core lifts in the first 4 weeks. Get that, a foundation, and then this next round of, for a beginner, it's around 6 weeks. The weeks 5 through 10, we add in a few exercises. So we're still doing the squats, the deadlifts, and the bench press. Again, there's no break between this phase and this phase. After this one, we go right into here. So we have squats, we have deadlifts, and we have bench press. Next, we're going to add in barbell rows, standing barbell press, and lunges. Very simple, basic exercises, but it also will help, give you more well-rounded development. So we start with this first week. We do pull back the volume a little bit. Your last week here is 36 total sets. We're starting off with 24 because you're also learning 3 new exercises. Probably some extra soreness and things just from learning those exercises. So we go, this is 24 total sets. 2 work sets, 1, 2, and then 1 work set of the 3 new exercises, sort of like you did up here. The next week, we increase volume a little bit more, and it continues through the 6 weeks, increasing volume of those work sets to the point where on that last week, which would be week 10 of the whole thing, you're at 63 total work sets for the week. So on this phase, you go from 24 to 63 total set. At that point, for weeks 11 and 12, I do peel back a little bit and do a little bit of a deload. I still do have the person train. It's not 2 weeks off. Maybe we bring the volume back down to what it was up here, and we almost do, sort of the week 1 up here. So you're still, staying up with the squats, the deadlifts, the bench press. At that point, we kind of reassess, reevaluate, we look at the person's goals, how they're doing, and we start over another sort of rotation. Now for a beginner, I know some people said, well, shouldn't there be a quicker deload? This is so intense, it's 10 straight weeks, increasing. For a beginner, you can do that. Keep them going. If it's working, they're gaining strength, keep them going. Whereas for myself right now, I'll work on a 4 to 5 week sort of stretch of increasing volume in the form of work sets. Then I take a week where I drop it down. Then start over, 4 to 5 weeks ramping up, then 1 week of dropping down. And really I need that. My body sort of needs that, or you just get burnt out. So that's really the nuts and bolts of the routine. A couple main points here. It is whole body. It is 3 times a week. The reason we do 3 times a week, you could do 4. Many people that I work with have asked, hey, can I just start off with 4 times a week? You can, but I highly advise not to. My entire programming is based on total amount of these work sets. So I'm looking at the total for the week. So I need to know, is someone really gonna go 3 times a week or 4 times a week? Because that's how my programming is built around. So I have almost every beginner commit to the 10 weeks, 12 weeks really with a deload, committing to the 3 times a week. I've just had too many times where they try to do 4, 5. Next thing you know, by week 3, they can't go 4 times, or week 5, they can't go this many times. And it just ends up being a big cluster. So I strongly prefer 3 times a week. As we mentioned, 1 day of rest in between, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something along those lines works well. As we mentioned, there is a longer stretch without a deload, which is totally fine for a beginner. If you're advanced, you're in the gym deadlifting 500 pounds for reps, you're gonna have to have a break sooner than that. So it also adds more variety and balance. So like I said, instead of just being this for months and months on end or 20 different exercises, we have a expanded group, but it's still not such an overwhelming amount. No complicated periodization. So I do certainly believe in periodizing your training. You have to. But I also believe in the beginning, let's just add volume to a reasonable level, peel back a little bit, and go from there. I don't get into, and I think I have this down here, I don't really run my program about just beating your logbook. So most beginner programs will say, log it, beat your thing, add 2.5 pounds every week, every exercise, every training session, add 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds. Or you have to lift this week, 5 reps of 75% of your 1 rep max or whatever it is. I find that gets too complicated. Not only that, life just happens, right? So you're not always going to be able to beat your logbook. Now, in saying that, one thing when I do one-on-one work with people is I do give guidance, especially with new people to training, on the rep ranges they should stay in. I don't tell people just try hard on your work sets. There is some rhyme and reason to it, and you need to give beginners some direction, right? But I don't really base mine on percentages of 1 rep maxes every week and saying you must do 5 reps of this weight. It's more about having productive sets, generally in that 8 to 15 rep range. So it should be hard enough that you're putting in a lot of effort in that range. And this whole thing, there is no total failure training, meaning you're to the point where you're doing a bicep curl and you literally can't lift it up. Even in this section, we're staying about 3 reps away from failure. In this section down here, we're still saying at least 1 to 2 reps away from failure, probably 2 reps away from failure most of the time. The higher frequency program, you can't go to utter failure all the time. There's just a big cost to that in recovery, going to failure, and what you get back from it as far as benefits, it's not worth the cost. And then cardio, a lot of people ask me what cardio you want to do. I do recommend cardio. I used to be anti-cardio when you're in a mass phase thing, you want to get bigger and stronger. I'm very much for cardio. I don't like to super regulate it though, because it just becomes mundane and boring. So what I like to tell people is just do cardio. If you want to go for a walk, go for a walk. If you want to hit the bike 15 minutes after you train, 20 minutes after you train, do that. That's what a lot of people do. They'll jump on the bike 20 minutes after they train. I would say for cardio, do it. It's good, but have fun with it. Go for a walk with your kids. Go for a walk with your wife. Ride a bike with your family. Do things like that. I do always include cardio. A lot of times I'll say throw in 150 minutes of cardio a week, which is like 30 minutes 5 times a week. However you want to do it. Doesn't have to be super high intensity. Just do something. So I'll make sure I put a picture of the program up. That's sort of where I like to start with people. I usually see tremendous results. One thing is I know someone will ask, can I substitute leg press for squats? Can I do, a machine for bench press? The key to this is really to focus on these barbell heavy duty movements. And yes, that is exactly what women should be doing too, if you want faster results. We will do an entire video on these bodybuilder 1 day, 1 muscle a day splits, because they absolutely make no sense. I'll leave just saying this, because I'm sure some people will put this in a comment. Well, what about all these bodybuilders and people who are getting results? At the end of the day, if you're going to the gym consistently, if you are working out with any level of intensity and eating, you will get some results. I did a training split like that for years. I don't anymore. Even as an advanced person who's been training for years, I do upper, lower, upper, lower. You can hit these body parts, especially beginner. You absolutely should be hitting every body part at least 2 to 3 times a week. You probably could for any body parts go to 4, but I think 3 is a sweet spot for a beginner. So let me know if you have any questions. Please shoot a comment over, let me know. I'll make sure I have my information if you want to reach out for some one-on-one coaching. Happy to do it. And I think you'll find with a program like this, it's very efficient and will get you to where you want to go faster than most. So thanks for watching. We'll have more to come soon. Please like, subscribe, a lot more content coming out. Thanks.